Hey guys, welcome back to Flash Tutorials with Alan Becker. Today we're talking about special effects, including laser beams and energy balls and ice. It's each special effect has its own strategy, and of course you can do each one in many different ways. In this tutorial, I'm just going to show you what I did for my special effects. We're going to start with the laser beam. In Animator versus Animation 3, I have this really good-looking laser beam that, of course, you can't see animating right now because it's a movie clip, which animates independently of the timeline, but it will animate once you export it. Um, I did the uh, I did the laser beam in a different way in Animator versus Animation 2, if I can find it. Yeah. Um, this version was actually really dumb, but it's just lines, and for wherever it hits, I make some fancy little graphics. But you can do it like this, but it doesn't look as bright because the light itself is darker than the background. So what I did in this version, it's completely white, and there's like a glow of yellow, of red behind it. So to do that, what you have to do is make a movie clip and fill it with some jumbly lines. Here, let me find it. Okay, so if I double click it, you find that it's just made of jumbly lines that you can make really easily and quickly. You see two layers here. One layer is actually for the glow that comes out of his eye that animates to get a little bit brighter every 2 frames. And then the other animation is just the lines that are random. So let's make our own laser beam really quick. Okay, so I have blank canvas. So I'm going to insert a new movie clip. I'll call it laser beam. Okay, so it's going to be white, but we're gonna, so that we can see it, gonna make it black. It helps to have a tablet, but you don't have to. I'm going to start, let's say, going up, down. So let's say this is the center point, and we're just going to make it really long and jaggedy. I think I want it to be more smoothed so that it'll be like, yeah, like that, like gross. So we'll just leave that one like it is, and then hit F7 to make a new blank frame. And since I want to know what it looked like before, I'm going to hit the onion skin. And then I'm just going to make another ugly random line like that. And F7, another ugly line, maybe one that's kind of more straight like that. And then like that, and like that. And some that are completely straight, some that are like grossly jagged, and that should be about enough. So we've got our thingies, and it looks nice and ugly. So now to change the color, I'm going to click Edit Multiple Frames, drag this slider all the way out, hit Control A to select all, which I could just do by clicking and dragging and do that. So I'm going to change it to white. Now I can't see it, but that's okay. So now I just drag my laser beam onto the stage, and then what I want to do is add a glow under the properties of the item. If I click on it, properties should pop up, and down here you click glow, and it's automatically red. So maybe that's why I made it red, maybe not. So it looks really small, so we want to change the strength to make it much stronger. So it's pretty strong now, but we want to change the blur also. If we change the blur and it will look a lot nicer. I'm going to make the strength maybe about 300 and the blur maybe like 10. So right now when you animate it, you won't see anything. That's because it's a movie clip. As I said before, movie clips do not animate in a timeline, but they will animate once you export it as a flash file. So I'm going to go to File, Publish Preview Flash, and then we'll look at it. And that is your laser beam. Pretty cool. And if you want to add one of those glowy things at the top, or the beginning point, you can. I'll do that really quick. So when we go back inside, you can't see it because it's white. But yeah. So I think to help to see, we're just going to make a black background. And oval tool. And we put an oval down on a separate layer over top of it. And have the center be right where the center should be. And don't want lines on it. Right now I have the weird stippled line. And give it a radial gradient. Change everything to white, and then make one of them 0 for alpha. So as you see, the grids appear because it's more see-through, and you can't see it now, but when you click outside, it'll be like that. So we want it to kind of pulsate, and get brighter and then dimmer. So we're going to give it 2 more keyframes, one in the middle and one on the end, by hitting F6. And on this one, we want to bring the white out a little more. Can't see it again, but it's a little bit brighter compared to this one. Whoa, is it? Oh yeah. Really hard to tell. Anyway, we're just going to give it a shape tween and see how it looks. Huh. Oh, what the? Looks like the end one is brighter. So we're going to switch those two. Make sure the middle one is the brightest one. That looks nice. Alright, so there is your laser beam. So let's get rid of this black background. Put it in the put it here. Wow, it looks like it has a red glow by itself, and that is good. We want that. So let's preview it again. Yep, there is your laser beam coming out of a pulsing light point. So next we're going to do energy balls, and these are a little bit more complex. So inside of Animator vs. Animation 3, this red guy has an energy ball that he throws like that, and it explodes. So it has an animation that you can't see here, but you will see when I go into it. It kind of boils within itself, and the color of it gets a little bit more bright, like a pulse, like the other one, like the other thing. So how do we make one of these? It's kind of like similar to fire. You have to improvise, kind of. Let's try it. So we have 3 layers here. One layer is the random junk that goes around inside of it, and then we have this layer, which is a gradient that gets brighter and dimmer. And then we have this, which is kind of just the thing to make it blurry edged. But Honestly, we don't need it because we could just do that with this layer, because you could give it a blurry edge with the gradient here, but let's just make our own. So put you off to the side, make a new circle, and let's just give it a solid black color to begin. Hold down shift, and then we do not want a line, and hit F8 to make a new symbol. And we do want it to be a movie clip because we want to give it a blur, which we can't do with graphic, and we'll call it energy ball. So how do we start? Let's just give it a gradient, radial gradient, and set these all to 100% to make sure there's no alpha. Actually, the middle point, okay, we want it to be orange-ish. Then after that, we want it to be darker orange, and then dark, maybe a little red, more like that. And then for here, okay, let's get rid of this one, add a new one, so it's the same color. Change the alpha to 0. Okay, so when you click out, it is blurry on the outside, and that is good. So let's give it another frame, F6, and another frame in the middle, F6, and then in the middle we want it to be a little bit brighter. So let's move this slider a little bit out, and yeah, let's just do that. Actually, let's make it a little bit more red. Yeah, let's see how that changes it. I don't know. So let's give it a shape tween and just look at it. It could be more drastic, so let's make this a little bit brighter. It's already kind of bright. Let's make it more yellow, and then make this a little bit brighter too. Wow, that's vibrant. Ooh yeah. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Good. That is our first layer. Now we make the second layer, so this could get fun. Let's just give it a solid green for now. It's not going to be green when we finish, but we'll change it later. We want to be able to see it. So I think what I'm just going to do is make some random crap, and then make another frame of random crap, and then try to go in between them. I'm going to turn my smoothing back down to 50 because I don't want it to be that smooth. And make sure the lines don't all seem the same width, or else it'll look like you drew it. That looks alright. Let's make a new frame with F7, and not paying attention to the last frame, try to make another one that's just as gnarly. And another one. And we'll just do 3. Okay, that's alright. Let's split these up. So we're going to want it to start like this, become this, and then become this, and then go back to this. So we're going to hold down Alt to copy this frame, and drag it to the end, drag this one to this side, and then drag this one here. Okay, this could get fun. Make it a little more even, and then okay, I'm going to hit F7 right in between these two frames, and then we're going to turn on the onion skin, and then we're going to get to work. How do we go in between? I'm going to turn off this layer, and then I'm going to bring this back here, so we have 2 frames to work with. Either way is fine. Alright, I'm going to make my brush a little bigger because I'm zoomed in. I'm going to attempt to make it morph between these. Okay. it'll obviously be different for you, because you are going to have different designs, different gnarliness. And maybe this line goes in between those two lines, these two, and then kind of flattens out to become that shape. And then this one's also flattening out to become that shape. And then this one is moving that way to become that shape. It's going to be really weird. Okay. Okay, turn off onion skin and see how that looks. I'm going to hit comma and period to go in between. Yeah, alright, that's alright. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Hit F7 in the middle of these two frames, and then do that, and then onion skin, and then do it. Okay. This one's very similar. Okay, this shape is very similar to this shape. Let's just make it become that shape. And this one, similar to that shape. And this one's similar to this shape. Alright, this one's very much alright. Okay, cool. And now I want it to transform back into this one. Let's just give it another frame so we have an even amount in between each one. Onion skin. And transform. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna look good. You never know till you look at it. So let's play it. Okay, so let's just work with this. Yeah, let's work with this. So now we have to go in between each frame. I'm just gonna go through it quickly. Probably speed up the video. Alright, let's see how that looks. That is good. There's a little spot there to fix. Alright, next step is different from how I did it here. I think I'm going to do something different. Right here I actually fill it, each one with its own gradient, but I'm going to put a gradient over top of it and then mask it, which is a better strategy I think, because you can change the gradient and then it would change it for each frame. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to put a oval on top of it, and to make sure it's center, I'm going to go to the center and then hold Alt and then Shift and then drag and drop. And for this gradient, I'm just going to make it brighter than the previous gradient. So I'm going to make this, say, white, make this one, say, yellow, and this one orange. Like that. Alright, so what do you do next? You go to the layer, right-click it, and click Mask. And that didn't work. I did it wrong. We're going to undo that, switch the order of the layers, and then right-click the top layer, which is the layer with the green stuff on it, and click Mask. There we go. Okay. So I always get confused about which order the layers are supposed to be, but look at that. We made our own energy ball. I think it looks nicer than the old one. Quite nice. Alright. So now we have our energy ball, and then let's publish it, see what it looks like. Yeah, it looks good. So in this animation, you notice that when he throws it, there's a blur, and that makes it look more realistic because it blurs. Everything that moves in real life looks like it's blurred. So it's very easy to do that. If you want it to blur while it's moving, you need to give it a blur. So I'm going to put it on its own layer so that we can tween it. I'm going to Control X, cut it, and then Control V, paste it, and go to the properties, and then blur. First I want to move it, so F6, move, right click, classic tween, make it go faster, and make it stay at the beginning first. Or I mean, sorry. So yeah, okay, here it is. So only while it's moving I want it to blur. So I'm going to click the frame of the tween, and then right click or click on this, and then go to blur. And then we have a blur. We only want the blur to be in a certain direction. If you're going down, you want it to be in the Y direction. If you're going sideways, you want it in the X direction. And if you're going diagonally, I'm sorry, there's no way to do a diagonal blur. But you doing the closest thing that you have is the best solution. Is actually, see, it's actually just a side-to-side blur, even though it's going diagonally. It still works. So there. Well, you still want it to be blurry here too, so give it a blur here. And you do want it to only be blurred while it's moving, so this frame shouldn't be blurred. So we're going to put a keyframe here, put a keyframe right before it lands, and then take away that blur on the first frame and the last frame. So now it's just like perfect. And then we can make it look even better by giving it an ease. So that is motion blur. If you want to make a stick figure blur while he's moving, then you have to turn him into a symbol or a movie clip before you can actually make him blurry. For example, I don't know if you need an example, it's pretty straightforward, but if I have a stick figure and then all of a sudden he decides to move really fast. Oh, his foot got really curly there. In this instance, we want to turn his moving body into a movie clip. I'm going to hit F8, turn it into stick blur, and go to his properties panel and then click blur, and then change it to only be in the Y or the X direction. And then of course we want it to move a little bit more than that, so we will give him a tween, maybe a little less than that, and then classic tween. Isn't that something? So now you know how to make people blurry. To turn them into symbols first. Last thing I'm going to cover really quick is ice. Someone asked me about ice. I totally forgot about it, but it's relevant. And the way I did it was extremely cheap and boring, and you probably could figure it out yourself, but let's look at it anyway. So here he is icing up the Firefox, and back then I made Firefox just from drawing directly instead of making a symbol first and animating each body part. Um, but here's the ice. He does that thing, and then he does that, and then he falls over. He becomes an ice cube. So this ice is right here, and if I double click it, oh wait, let me go back. This ice is an animation that starts like that, becomes that, and becomes that. It's really simple. The only tricky part is drawing it, which isn't that tricky. What you do is you take the pencil tool and you make a jaggedy shape. And then you just draw in spaces where you probably think the cracks or the facets of the shape would be, and just draw lines like that. Maybe a jaggedy line inside of a jaggedy shape. Make sure the lines are closed, and such. This one is going to be alright. So once you have that, you just fill it in with one of 3 colors. Maybe I'll just pick the colors directly. I'll pick the middle color, which will be that, and that. No, I don't know about that. And that. Yeah, and I'll pick the darker color, make that the behind part. I don't know. And then the light color, put it on there. Maybe this is like that. And looking at it again, maybe this one should be bright also. There. And then what you do is you double click the lines, hit delete. And there you go, you got your own ice. And all I did was I made the first ice and then hit a new frame, made the second part of the ice, and then like that. For the snow, it was really easy also. If I click on the snow, it's actually a line. And what you can choose is the stippled effect here under the line. So you go to pencil tool and you make it white, make the stroke width like 3, and then hit stippled. If it was a hairline, it would just look like that. So if I draw with it, it becomes like snowflakes. I don't know if you want to do that. It's a very easy way to just make a bunch of dots. And it saves memory probably, because each one of these would have been its own little vector shape, and it would have taken up a lot of memory. But right now it's just lines. Oops. So that's how you make snow. You just have to know how to animate it, and it's just kind of a line winding around. And it falls down really slowly at the end. I think there's I'm gonna try to make a cool looking ice effect here. Try to make it cooler than it did before. And to do that, I'm just gonna make ice first of all, and then I'm gonna give it a kind of a tween so that it looks more like it juts out of nowhere. So do that. Oh man, I don't want this stippled. And give it some facets. Actually, yeah. And then fill it in with blue. Yeah. Okay, and then double click it all, get out of it. That's okay. I think I'm gonna change the color of some of these like that. I just want the colors to be more evenly distributed. Okay, that's alright. So we have our ice shape, which I'm not really proud of, but we take it and make a movie clip, or actually just a graphic out of it, called ice graphic. And yeah, let's make two of them. Control C, Control V, and put them on separate layers. I could select them both, holding down Shift, and then right click, distribute to layers, and then they become on their own layer. And do that. Make one of them smaller. I'm gonna click Q, and make sure the anchor point is at the bottom, and hold down Shift, make it small. And this one also, I mean, they're both going to start out small. I'm going to put the anchor point at the bottom, make it small. And then, to make the ice effect, we want them to just come out of nowhere and get big. So one of them is going to be really big. This one is in front, so it's going to be smaller. I'm going to hide it so I can see the other one. And this one's going to be big. Yeah. So when I give it a classic tween, it should look like they kind of grow. And one of them should grow at a different rate. Oh, okay. The smaller one should start later, like that. And they should have an ease on them, actually. So I'm going to go to this frame, drag over both of the frames so you edit both of their easings, and then ease out, because we want them to gradually halt to a size that's ideal. So when I move this one over like that, it should look more like it's separate from it. And then it's freezing. Something is just freezing. Oh yeah. In here, you notice that the ice is slightly transparent. And that is really easy to do. You go to the properties and go under color effect, style alpha. Click on it and then change it to like 50 or 60. Same with the other one. Change the alpha to 50 or 60. And make sure that the other frame is also set to the same alpha so that it looks like it. There we go, we have some ice. We have some ice. Ice is nice. It might even look better if we had more than one of each so that they're a little separate from each other. So, let's see. I'm going to duplicate these frames. Copy frames, make a new layer, and then paste frames. So now I have the exact same symbols in the exact same frames, and we're going to offset them a little bit by rotating. And the other one's going to rotate also. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what we want to look at. So yeah, that's good. And I also want to give it some like snow particles coming out of it. So let's give it another layer, or just for a black background sake. In fact, I can just change the background of the stage by going to the properties of the stage by clicking on it, and then go to stage background color, and then there. Okay. Let's hide this. And make sure you can see that the whole time with F5. And then give it a new layer, and then let's do the thing with no, let's not do the stippled thing. That's not going to work. Let's use the paintbrush change the color to white and make it really small. We're just going to make little snow particles by hand. And I'm going to go click F7, and as it's getting really big, we want to just give it a bunch of snow particles. So let's just zoom in. It doesn't have to be that small. Okay, so let's put little dots everywhere. And I'm just going to make the color alpha a little less, like 60, just like the ice. So it's a little bit paler, maybe less than that, 50. Okay, so we have our empty frame here, and we just click a bunch of little things. Actually, let's do one particle at a time. I think that's better. So F7 each frame, and onion skin, and then we're going to lock these so that we don't have to see them. And we see this frame, and we give it a new dot. F7 again, new dot. F7 again, F7 again, and then it slows down slowly. And then becomes small. I wish I could. Yeah, I'm just gonna make it small here. There. Okay, and then we have our frames here. We're just gonna go on top of them with the comma and plus, like that, and just drawing on each frame. So dunk, 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 dunk. You want each one to start really fast and then get slow. And then just slowly move to a stop, and then get small, and okay, we're done here. And maybe we'll add some extra frames, just because we want extra frames. Alright, let's do the same with another one. And another one that maybe we'll make it start a little bit earlier. F7 here, and it's like right there. And then see how fast you can do it? It's really cool. Let's just play it to see what it looks like. Yeah, that's what we want. And if we have enough of these little dots, it'll look really good. So I'm just going to keep doing some more dots. F7 over, no, not F7, comma and plus. I'm using the, no, not comma and plus, comma and period. Let's start here. Comma and period. Maybe start here. And maybe start here. Oh, we have to add a new frame here. F7, and then period. Yeah, I found out that just making it small from the beginning is actually better than starting with a big brush and then moving to a little brush, because you can just make it big with your little brush. So there. Okay, let's see how that looks. There we go. We have a fancy schmancy looking ice effect. And you learned it right here at Alan Becker Flash Tutorials. So now that's how you make a laser beam, an energy ball, and ice explosion, as well as a motion blur for your stick figures. Alright, I'm glad that you guys are learning from my tutorials. If you have any other questions, contact me through my website, and if you haven't already, subscribe please, because that's nice. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.